I'm so excited to like pull this out again and play with it. It is one of my favorite things I have ever built. Hey everybody, Adam Savage in my cave, and we are enjoying a blast from the past. This is an early tested build from literally from like 2011 through 2012. Maybe even longer than that, a couple of years. This is the Mecha Glove. This is my construction of Hellboy's Mecha Glove from Hellboy. Grigory Rasputin gives birth to Hellboy by building this mechanical spiritual bridge and using electricity and portals and ley lines to bring Hellboy from the realm of the Agdru Jahad into our earthly realm. I believe that's pretty succinct. I made this back in 2012. Actually, I made 2 of them. And one of them I gave to Guillermo del Toro. This is an episode that will be about maintaining and revisiting something you built a long time ago. Because that's what we're doing. Everything about this has held up pretty darn well over the last 13 years. Okay, everything has held up pretty well except for this part. This little calliope, this little music box, this little heartbeat. This in the movie you get to see a close up where all the things are like this. And what I have been told is that at the shop, Spectral Motion, which my friend Mike Elizalde has run for a long time, the guy that gave this job to build this, his last name was Millenbaugh, and he went and did this incredible amount of work. It is such a magnificent piece. Machined it out of aluminum, and everyone called it the Millenbaugh Motivator. I think even Guillermo talks about it like that. And Sean Charlesworth did all the drawing for me back in the day, and then had this printed out. And as you can see, it's pulling itself to ribbons right now, which is understandable. This is a plastic that was developed from a material science standpoint for a machine that is almost 15 years old. Plastics are built out of polymer chains, and these polymer chains can weaken under all sorts of different conditions, whether it's direct sunlight or salt water or even time. So this ancient resin print from not the early days of resin printing, because 3D printing really starts with resin printing, stereolithography, but it makes total sense to me that this early execution of 3D printing technology would have trouble holding up. And specifically, it's having trouble holding on to the plumbing parts and all the wire, the weight. I have weight on this exact unit, and that's problematic for it. So I know that the same thing is happening to the one that is in Guillermo's house. And I want to go there and to fix it, and I will. But first, I have to figure out, one, I need to print this up. I need to take this off. I need to inspect how I installed it in the first place, because I'm going to need to go over to Guillermo's house and solve this problem without taking that Mecha Glove back home. I'm going to want to do that repair in the field. And so this is me both fixing mine, but also building a protocol for which I can help Guillermo with his Mecha Glove. So let's get this on the workbench and start talking about it. We got light, we got light, we got light everywhere we want light. That's fantastic, spectacular, Excelsior. All right. Oh, great. Okay. Oh, so much. Okay, so, yeah. Oh, there's lines coming in from all of them. Oh, but. Okay. Oh, I know. I dropped some pieces. So here is the piece. And look, this is solely, it's locked into this position. And that is solely from it just sitting there being torqued. So these are the 4 positions of the screws that hold this on here, which is great. Those are the 4 screws that hold this in. These hold this back onto the front. It's also a really great way for me to learn what screws I need. I will take a look at this parts list, and I'll probably use these on Guillermo's, as you do. And I'm also going to do this for my own, so I need 2 sets of everything. And there is the platform. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we're going to say, look at how floppy that is. We're going to save that. Look at all these little screws. Look at them. Look at it. Okay, we're going to take everything out of here. All right, so you start to even now get a little taste of just how much is going on with this thing. So here are the parts. Right side, left side, cover, cover. That goes there, and that goes on the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is what I need to reprint. So in the annals of Mecha Hand parts, this is the original mill and ball motivator that Sean Charlesworth built, and it is filament printed 13 years ago. It's a damn good looking filament print for being 13 years old. This also is, though, unacceptable for the amount of detail I want out of this, and also specifically the amount of detail I want out of this and its durability. Recent watchers of the channel know that I have, in addition to resin printing and filament printing as technologies we have here at Tested, we have recently, in the early part of 2025, added nylon printing. SLS, sintered nylon. This is one of Wally's eyeballs, and this is actual size. All your questions will be answered months from now. But I think this is the most durable 3D printing process. I made my Mandalorian Amben rifle. Yeah, Amben rifle. I made that out of sintered nylon, and it sits on a stand and has not drooped. It's been years. That's spectacular. So we're gonna print up a set of these parts. I'll leave these out for now. This is about to be an object lesson in never throwing stuff away. I am not suggesting that you never throw stuff away. At all. We'd all be better if we didn't have to throw stuff away because we bought less stuff. I fully ascribe to that. But I finished this Mecha Glove 13 years ago, and lo, check out what I've got here. Okay, that's to show you in a second, but I forgot that Sean and I had done Send Cut Send for some of these a couple years ago. So I've got some aluminum pieces here. I've got, oh wow, these are all the original resin pieces for the little keys that go up and down. And then these are, oh my God, even more resin pieces for all the keys. Here's all the original resin parts we printed up. Here's some extra brass. And here, ooh, yeah, there's another, what do you call it, drive shaft, plus some motor parts. Plus original plans of how I was going to build it, plus some cigar tubes, plus an extra motor for mine, and all the brass, all the little brass nuts and bolts. I kept them in this box. I know they should have probably gone into Gen Pop, but the fact that they're here makes me very happy. I didn't need to use them up. And look, here's a 12-volt transformer, which will end up powering this thing. just very exciting to have everything that I need and have it be there however many years after the fact and still useful to me. But I wanted to show you this because we just printed this up. Oh. Okay. Oldie, newie. Here is the old one. Here is the new one. This, what's a little tiny chunks falling out. This is nylon. This is printed on my Form Fuse 1 sintered nylon printer. I printed up 2, or I might have actually printed up 3. Look, I always print more than I need, but what I'm noticing is, yeah, there's been some shrinkage in one of these that makes it unworkable. So I'm going to put, well, that one's not terrible, but this one, this is, oh yeah, it's really good. Let's check out the last one. Oh, there's a real tendency towards shrinkage on these puppies. I say a tendency towards shrinkage. Let me show you the amount that I'm noticing. Actually, I'll just compare this one to this one. Ah, okay. Here's the difference. These two pieces, that little step right there, that little step that I'm flexing here, that's the offset. It is maybe 10 thousandths. No one's ever going to notice that. No one is ever going to notice that. But let's see. I want my parts to fit together really nicely. So that's quite a differential. That's an okay differential. Could this be a better differential? That's ideal. Okay, so those two live together. Let us make an agreement that they're born in holy matrimony. We're going to call this A, and we're going to call this one A. Now I know they go together. Okay, now let's see about these combos here. Yeah, you'll see they're off by about 1/16 of an inch. There you go. See that offset there? That's where they start. That's where they end. And I think that is a tiny little bit of shrinkage in this piece, which, to be fair, could have been that I pulled it out too early, that I pulled the sintered nylon part out of its build chamber too fast. Sintered nylon is my favorite printing process for super complicated parts because they need no support. That means that the printer does not have to also print things that hold the print up. In resin printing and filament printing, the printer often has to do that. But in the SLS and sintered printing, powder is laid down, and so the part just grows in this powder and held in its perfect orientation. In fact, the slicer for the fuse will join all your parts together because they barely need any separation, and the software knows exactly how much. But what it also means is that your print might take 6 hours, but then it'll also say, don't take your print out for another 7 or 8 hours. You've got to let the powder cool down because the powder is super fine. It's all uniform. Every particle of powder is the same exact diameter. And all of that holds the heat right next to the part. So if you pull it out early, you expose one part to cold, it does another part to, and it's still pretty plastic, literally plastic, it can shrink. So I've got a little bit of shrinkage across a couple of these, but there is and again, the one that's really perfect, that's going to be for Guillermo. That's part number A. This one for me. And I'll be able to dial these into close enough theater. That's it. That's the one. That's the super close one. Right? So we are going to just be concentrating on one of these today. So I'm going to put these back in here. And I'm going to codify that these are Guillermo's parts, and do they all line up? If there's a little shrinkage, it might be that lineup is troubling. Excellent. And over here, let's see, is lineup correct? Yes, 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 yes. All good, all awesome, all amazing. Ah! We are going to put away the old parts. These are the OG resin parts, and we're right. I'm going to save that because that's my map of how to bolt it back on. So those can go right. You can live there. You or someone else entirely. One of the more mission critical parts is this part that sits here. If I make these out of aluminum, they'll hold both of these two lobes together correctly. We printed this the same way it was machined, i.e. these two parts in two separate halves. They could have been joined, but I wanted to follow the construction method. So we're going to leave that as our reference and that as our reference. That stays. Then we've got these more smally ones. This is a little one that mounts to the right. Nope, that's a left one. We can grab that. Left. This one is also left. Left. This one takes one side. This is a double, which is that. Oh, I don't think I printed up enough of these. Okay. That makes sense because I have what looks like to be two of each kind, and I need more of some kinds than others. I'm not worried about swapping these out for some of the earlier resin prints I've got because they're plenty robust enough. Single, single, double, double. Single, single, double, double. Double. Single, single. Single, double, single, single. Great. Motor mounts on both sides. And I also need a motor mount over here. Oh, okay, I've got that for mine. Right. See, these are smoother, so I would prefer the resin parts to the nylon parts for the shiny silver caps that they need to be. So let's see if I have enough. 1, 2. There you go. That's how that works. That's great. I need a tiny little file. Tiny file. We're off to the races. So we're going to do another one here. And I'm just going to keep on snipping by eye. Rack. This is 32nd of an inch music wire, by the way. Oh. Ah, good. There you are. Great. All the things that should be lit are lit. I love it.
All the things that should be lit are lit.
Sometimes when you're making something, you get to worrying about all the small attachment points and you ignore some of the giant attachment points. So the Hellboy Mecha Glove is composed of a glove with an outer leather sheath, a wrist collar made of a 6-inch piece of aluminum. Inside, and the connector between the two of those is this yellow quilted fabric. I had to make this. Can I tell you how boring quilting is? Even quilters hate quilting. Quilting is the tedium. It's the Olympics of tedium. That's what quilting is. I'm not casting aspersions on quilting. Quilting is an amazing art form. So the connector between the big collar and the glove is this cloth. And I thought to myself, I will mount this cloth to an aluminum ring inside the collar and it'll be permanent and there are nuts and bolts. And there are. And it's held really securely. And then I thought, well, if I'm holding the fabric of this quilted collar wrist to the glove and the glove is suede, well, hell's bells. I could just use hot glue because hot glue is never a permanent gluing solution, but sometimes when you're gluing cloth to cloth or cloth to leather, it can be a permanent solution. It was not a permanent solution. The glove, the whole thing hung off the glove. And over the last decade plus, the weight of this slowly pulled away a bunch of that hot glue. So I've cut it back out. And I am going to reapply, this time using methacrylate. Methacrylate! And the first thing I'm going to do is I've taken this piece of aluminum, which I have toothed up on my 80 grit or 60 grit belt. And I'm going to slip it in here. I'm going to use the methacrylate around the inside of this to create a support ring in here. Then I am going to bring the rest of the glove over that and I'll get methacrylate in there. So this will be sandwiched between methacrylate into cloth and then into leather. That should provide the kind of much more permanent, flexible fit for these disparate materials. I've tried to go archival and the hot glue was my lapse. Which among us can throw stones? Things are looking good. I'm very pleased. I'm very pleased. I'm very pleased. Let's see. All right. I feel like that's in a pretty good position. And I feel like it's pretty okay to leave it there. Am I right? Wait, no. I want to... Yeah. Seems above the, yeah, there we go. Now it's nice and straight. Okay, great. Great. We're gonna let that set and then, so the glue is drying from the inside of the ring to the collar. And then once that sets, I'm gonna pull this zip tie and, you know, I've been watching tons of Curtis from Cutting Edge Engineering. So I find myself delivering lines in my head like he talks. And once we get that glue, then we're gonna glue the other part. Once we get that glued, then we'll glue the other part. First, I'm going to wait for the glue to dry. Then I'm going to apply the rest of the glue. Then I'm going to apply the rest of the glue. I love those guys. Karen and Curtis are the best. I spent some time at their shop last year. I want to go back and build something. I love that channel so much. All right. Letting that set for a minute. Let me see what else I can work on. The methacrylate has dried. Now, if you have one of these systems, and by the way, I really like this Infinity Bond MMA 310B Clear. It's cheaper than the last stuff I was talking about, and it works really great. But if you have one of these, what you only need, I never copped to this. I kept on putting back on the little tab you take off to put the extruder on. You can just leave the extruder you just used on because it's set here at the end of the mixing, but it's not set here, and you pull it off and you add a I always miss. You add another extruder. Hold on. There. That took longer than it should have. I am now going to clip the zip tie. I'm going to check. Yep, it's nice and solid. I'm very happy with that. So what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to install this and then I'm going to go in with the methacrylate. Yes, that's how we're going to do it. Okay. Oh, hey, before I do it, why don't we check the power and make sure I haven't messed anything up in the meantime. Light is not, and we have all the things lit that need to be lit. That's great. So let's I can't stress it enough. Just check your electronics every single time you move anything. That's all. I love how it mixes out to the tip. All right, here we go. Oh, I think that worked absolutely perfectly. Okay, more zip tie. Okay, we'll get a little bit in here where that was just not quite filled. Amazing. So I've also been taking the opportunity here to fix my Mecha Glove, but also, hi. So I've been using this opportunity to fix my Mecha Glove, and I will also be addressing issues with the other one, but I'm feeling pretty good about this guy so far. I feel like, oh yeah, gotta get you back up there. Oh, I can cut this off. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, so I still have some messing with this, but this is really fun. Okay, let's check out the gauge. I am pleased. I found all the originals. When you want to make two of something, when I want to make two of something, I often start out by making four. That's what I did on this guy. And I still have complete set of parts for another one. Oh, right. I got a haircut in the middle of this shoot. I have two bins labeled Hellboy Mecha Glove. I've got extra cast parts, sets of all of these, some lights, some of the original radio tubes, and boop, boop, 50 of the grain of wheat bulbs. So we're going to test one of these, make sure it works, and then we're going to rewire this this bad boy, the Nazi gauge. All right, here we go. There we are. That's what I'm looking for. The glow. The glow. See the glow? There's the glow. That's the glow. So we're going to take, these are 12 volt grain of wheat bulbs. And we're gonna pop them out of this and install some new ones. There you go. Lovely. Very happy with that. I pulled my 10-year-old, 11, 12-year-old Mecha Glove off of its display stand, and I'm fixing it. The first issue I had was that on the base of it, the original motivator was resin print, and it was pulling itself apart, so I have reprinted that in sintered nylon, and I'm working on another mill and ball motivator or this. And there are two gloves, so I'm making sure that they both have the right parts so I can go and fix the other one. But there's also, on the glove, there is a, there are all these tubes. They're filled with all sorts of different things. Some of them are filled with the remnants of old radio tubes. I went so far down the rabbit hole that I figured out which radio tubes their innards were scavenged from and bought myself the same versions. Now, this one right here, this big fat thumb-sized ball that's got a resin ball inside of it with markings on it, that was an original idea for the glove that they changed for filming. On the filming glove, this is filled with a kind of silver metallic fluid that pumps and moves. It's really cool looking. But Spectral Motion had made a resin ball that they'd handed to Mike Mignola, the original artist for Hellboy, and he had drawn these symbols on it, and they still had that, and I got a casting of that ball, so I put it in here. But there's also a pair of balls, a pair of tubes called the frog tubes. I call them the frog tubes, and they're filled with a dead frog. And after 10 years, this is what the frog tubes look like. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's kind of cool, but that's a little too invisible for my taste. So, what do you do when you've got a sealed tube that you sealed 10 years ago and you want to crack it open again? And I don't want to break the glass. You soak it in a jar. Where did I put it? Soak it in a little jar of acetone overnight. Acetone is not going to negatively affect the aluminum or the glass, and it allows me to expose the silicone caulk I used to seal this low those many years ago. And let's take a look at this. Oh man, this is disgusting. There's the frog. There's the frog. It's disgusting. It's falling apart. It's heavily. Ooh. Excuse me for sneezing out in the open, but no one else is here. So there's the frog. It will not survive being removed from this. So what are we going to do? Well, we're going to clean this tube. And remember, so in the last, whenever I finish a project, there are left over many parts and pieces that went to make that project. They might be fixtures for holding pieces of the project while I did other things to them. They might be the extra parts that I bought and didn't need. I always over purchase so that I make sure I don't run out of stuff. And in this case, there were some molds made of the critical pieces of this glove, and I kept those molds. Hold on just a sec. Oh, so I'm going to toss this guy. Oh, look at that. That's the frog mold. And this is a lovely illustration of a pressure underpour mold and a jeweler's cut. So as you can see, I took my original Sculpey frog that I sculpted and I put it on a little bit of a pin stand to create a small pouring excavation there at the nose tip, so it's easy to clean up. And then I added more resin rod glued with crazy glue, and then to this fixture here, so that basically it was suspended and I poured the silicone all the way around it, and then I did a little jeweler's scallop cut, which you can see here. And the scallop cut has this specific purpose in that it allows the two parts of the mold to find each other. You can imagine how those topographies meet. So I'm going to cast up some new frogs. That's what we're gonna do. At the same time as I'm going to clean up these pieces of glass. And the last thing I want to say is, let's take a look at this knurl. Look at that knurl. That's not a great knurl. We can do better. Ooh, that's bad. Hey guys, back on the frog, back on the liquefied frogs, the ones that go in these tubes. Formerly, I'd been using these tubes that I drove a little screw through, and I thought I sealed it, but I didn't, and it got rusty, and that's what made the water brown. That was my mistake. On these, I decided to not put any holes in them. And so I did a little 1/4-20 thread there, but you can see that the back end of it's fat. So I want to take that down a little bit so I can just screw this right into the arm. And I'm going to do that here on this little guy because I've got a little expanding 3-jaw chuck here that'll hold on to this just nicely. So let's do it. Ooh. I've decided to just put this through and put a nut on the other side. There we go. And the same thing here. Also, my frog mold has yielded some frogs. Look at this beautiful guy. I'm just going to clean up. Actually, he's no good as a casting. He is the good one. I had this funny epiphany. I was working on these frog tubes. That's what I called them, frog tubes. And I was thinking about sealing them against water, and then I was realizing, why don't I pot these in epoxy? So I think that is in fact what I'm going to do. I have finished painting and making the mummified frogs. They look a little gross. I'm very happy with that. I've done a mix of paints there to make them stand out. I think they should have some nice specular highlights in their color variants. And so I'm going to try pouring in a resin into these 4. And I better get this right because I only have one chance. I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm just like, I'm going. Beautiful. Oh. God, that fits almost all of them. That's great. Time to put the motivator on the hand. Let's get to it, little spoon. All right, it's gonna go there. Right here. Oh, hi there. So then this comes through here. That's the power. And these four feed into there. So then I need okay, so, right, I still need to put a couple more of these guys in. Let's just see if I can do it here. There comes a time in every man's life when it's time to pot the frogs, if you know what I mean. We're going to pot the frogs. We're going to seat these frogs inside of some Ultra Res JB Weld UV resistant casting resin. I am going to mix up what I believe is enough. I've also raised the temperature of this to 75 degrees as it required. I'm going to do some mixing. And we're going to do 4 ounces. 4 ounces might be too much. We're going to try that. There we go. All right. I hope this doesn't screw up on me. There you can see it's bubbling up a bit. Okay, that did seem to have a positive effect. So let us, I'm just gonna do 2 of these in case I totally screw the pooch, and that'll allow me 2 more to unscrew said pooch. I'm getting excited. I'm just going to go for it. I can redo these if I have to. All right, we are mostly done. It is mostly finished. I have some power to add to this, which I'll do at the end of this pigtail. I'm not going to worry about the lines at the end of the Millenbaugh motivator, but holy hell, does that look really good. I am just waiting for my frog tubes to set. Dude, yeah, I'm really pleased. Okay, we're going to let that set, and we'll come back tomorrow and see if we got what we want. That's what I was really hoping for. Oh, I love it. I love it. Oh, dude. Ooh-wee. You got one light out. One light out, but that'll do. That'll do, pig. Oh, yeah. Dude. Yes, everyone takes this shot. What? Oh, amazing. Oh, very happy. Very happy.